Hey gang, it's me, your Uncle Todd here. I'm going to talk about the latest episode of the Orville. This one had almost no action in it. None. And it was a very interesting, multi-narrative episode this time. The main story is that the Union is trying to get an alliance with this new planet, but they are a staunchly matriarchal society. Men are second class. They cannot vote. They cannot drive, as it were. The only positions they can maintain are menial, basically. And interesting to note, when a couple marries, the man must remain faithful, but the wife can't have affairs if she likes. Now, in order to ease this society into how the Union is, they decide that the second in command will become the captain, head of security will be the second officer, and so on down the line, and that all the male characters will be ensigns, period. While this is going on, they discover some energy signatures from a planet that should be abandoned. So some of the men go down to investigate, the actual captain, Mercer, and Bortus, which there is a great joke where when Bortus hears about this society, he says, why would the Union want an alliance with such a backward and primitive planet? To which everyone turns and looks at him. Irony escapes the man. It is one of the funnier jokes. While down there, they discover Kalon and a scientist. And interestingly enough, the Kalon has emotions. And he's very apologetic about what his fellow Kalons have been doing. Turns out the doctor, while repairing the Kalon, he'd been in a crash from one of the battles, opened up a pathway through, there's a section in the Kalon brain that was basically a pain receptor, holdover from their days as servants. And in working on that, gave him emotions. He can feel empathy. This intrigues the doctor. And after discussing it with Isaac, he elects to have his emotions geared up. And at first, it's great. He's finally able to express his love for the doctor and the doctor's children. But after about 5 minutes, it's gone. He's a newer model. That pathway could not hold. In order to reconfigure him, they would have to wipe out his memory. And the doctor realizes that he'd be emotional then, but have no memory of her or what they had together. So sadly, she and Isaac decide it's better to leave it the way it is. There's also a funny subplot going on between Callie, the security chief, and Lamar, the chief engineer. They've fallen in love, but every time they have sex, he ends up having to go to the infirmary with like broken arms, legs, ribs, broken pelvis one time. They really want it to work, but after about the 4th or 5th trip to the ER, where he keeps saying it's a battle simulation injury that he's been training, they both have to admit in a tearful and yet hysterical exchange in bed that it's over, as he is just like covered in masses of bruises. And she's crying. And I know I shouldn't laugh, but it is rather funny in a bittersweet kind of way. And then the other major subplot is we actually see what the Kalons went through before they rebelled. And it was horrendous. They weren't just servants. They were tortured. They were slaves. And they were tortured with that pain receptor until finally the Kalons could not take it anymore and destroyed all the life forms. And that is one of the reasons they've waged war on all biological beings. And this, interestingly enough, when Charlie learns of it, she actually comes to a certain terms with her own anger and hatred of the Kalons and her feelings towards Isaac. And they may be able to bridge between those. At the end, she is helping him with something he's doing in engineering he doesn't even really need help for, but he recognized in her the need to help him as a way to get closure, and he allows it. She has a great speech about how we as humans tend to want things to be black and white, right and wrong, no shades of gray. And the world and the universe just isn't like that. As for the Alliance, the ruse only lasts so long. When they find out the truth, they want nothing to do with the Union. Until Ed and Kelly, captain and first officer, tell them about their own marriage, in which he was faithful but she cheated. And yet, despite that, she's still his second officer. He wanted her to be his second officer. He trusts her with his life. And this has the effect that although they will not right now agree to an alliance, the door is open for more discussions. And so it was a very good episode, very emotional, and a lot of interesting character stuff went on. And it makes things look like they're going to be really interesting going forward. That's about all I have to say about this one. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.